Dan Bedondi for the InfoWars Nightly News. Last year, we did a special in-depth report of Fort McClellan troops being poisoned by Monsanto. There were over 700,000 U.S. military veterans who served and trained at Fort McClellan, Alabama, not to mention the many citizens who live in Anniston, Alabama, who were all victim to the witch's brew of deadly toxins, radiation, nuclear waste being dumped there by Monsanto and also our federal government. The EPA closed the base in 1999 because many now deem the base as the most toxified place on the planet.
Just one of a fast-growing number of former soldiers who have come forward claiming exposure to toxic chemicals on the base has caused not just cancer, but other horrible health problems.
We see so much death.
Then there's Anniston itself. The city is toxic. Chemical giants Monsanto and Solutia have shelled out more than $1 billion in damages and cleanup costs after the massive plant on the other side of town dumped tons of dangerous PCBs into the air, ground, and water for decades.
Normally, a bill needs 3 to 4 co-sponsors to be heard in Congress. As a bill was established here in Rhode Island last year, H.R. 411, the Fort McClellan Health Registry Act, and Congress refused to hear the bill. And thanks to Infowars.com, the video going viral, the bill has now well over 30 co-sponsors and is causing a huge uprising in Washington and along with the veterans. And Congress still refuses to hear this. Now we got a gentleman from California who's going to tell us what he's going to do to bring this to the next step and right to the heels of Congress. And we're joined right now via Skype with Ted Melvin Jr. from California.
Hi, my name is Ted Methvin Jr. I live in Northern California. I'm an independent filmmaker. I was also stationed at Fort McClellan. I did my basic and AIT there February of '89. After I left Fort McClellan, I went to Miesau, Germany, where I served with the 164th MP Company on a NATO site. I left Germany and spent a small time in Fort Sam Houston, Texas, and then I was stationed back at Fort McClellan in 1990 and left there in 91. I didn't know anything about any of the PCBs or any of that stuff while I was stationed there. I found out about it probably 4, maybe 5 months ago, about the exposure, just on the Monsanto level, not to mention the exposure of all the chemicals that the chemical company and the stuff that was there, World War II, the Vietnam, with the Agent Orange and all the stuff they did there. I'm not suffering as bad as most of the people that went to Fort McClellan. I have an anomaly on my femur. I have incredibly high blood pressure. My memory is not very good.
You've seen the video we did last year, the report on Fort McClellan troops being poisoned by Monsanto on Infowars.com. And was that one of the videos also that inspired you to take this to the next step?
Oh, absolutely. I saw that. I originally started looking for old Army buddies that I had served with, and I actually ran across that video, the video of Sal and Dennis, and I was absolutely blown away. I could not believe it. So I started digging a little deeper and searching and looking at all the stuff, and then finding the groups on Facebook. It was kind of an aha moment there. I couldn't actually believe that something like that happened, but the more I dug in, the more proof that I found, the more people I spoke to. There's just no denying it.
The bill that was going through H.R. 411, and I talked about that earlier, how it was met with tons of resistance. I mean, it's got more than enough co-sponsors, and Congress refused to hear the bill. And you mentioned that you also jumped onto another bill as well.
The reason why the Congress doesn't want to pass it is because it doesn't do anything. It's really expensive to do, but all it basically does is set up just a list of people that went to Fort McClellan, and it's a voluntary list. If you want to be on it, then you can be on it. You can get a health exam, and if you're sick, they'll tell you what you can go do. They don't help you. They don't follow up with medical. They don't compensate you for being a service-connected exposure. The new bill that a congressman out of San Jose, California, Congressman Honda, he wrote a bill called H.R. 4816. And it's basically a sister bill of a Senate bill that's already in Congress called Toxic Exposure Research and Dependent Care. The Senate bill just concentrated on families, like Vietnam era dependents who ended up getting the illnesses from the exposure that their fathers and mothers got in Vietnam from Agent Orange. So the House bill, the H.R. 4816, they took that Senate bill and they included the service members in it. So it's a complete bill. The only thing it really is missing is the presumptive status, and it doesn't really specifically call out any certain forts or base that's contaminated. I think it's a good bill to be able to prove, once this documentary comes out, you can prove that you were exposed at Fort McClellan, and then go from there.
I want to talk about this documentary now. I mean, like, I know you got a lot invested in this.
It's emptypipecreations.wix.com, and then a / toxic service is the website. It's a documentary about the soldiers that served at Fort McClellan, and they're telling their story of their illnesses and the resistance that they've got from the VA and from their congressmen and from all these different agencies that just don't believe them. The Department of Defense says that there is no toxic exposure at Fort McClellan.
Even though the EPA closed Fort McClellan down in '99 and was labeled the most toxic place on the planet, and we got all the toxicology reports and everything else to prove everything your testimony and such, and it's just crazy what it is, because you're going against Monsanto, known as Solution now. And, government doesn't want to do that because that's a corporate sponsors and such.
Oh, absolutely, because we've given every person in the House representative, an opportunity to be a part of this documentary. We've emailed them, we've called them, and in my opinion, if they choose to ignore us, then basically they're turning their backs on the veterans, the people that serve this country. They're interested in what we're saying, but they're just not interested in getting involved, and to me, that's shameful, and that's something we're going to show. We want to get this project out there before the elections in November. Mike Rogers, who is the congressman in the district in Anniston, I think it's the second district in Anniston, I could be wrong. The guy that's running against him is going to be in Alabama with us the entire time we're there. Politicking, because that's how much he supports us and the Fort McClellan soldiers.
So hopefully this documentary, especially if they know you're going to be making a documentary, they're gonna, a lot of these congressmen and people in government, they're going to be sweating because you're going to open Pandora's box. But the thing is, you need to let them know that you're serious about getting yourself and all your fellow veterans compensation and all that. I
think there's going to be some people who say they're for the Fort McClellan veterans, but they want to be in the spotlight. They want all the glory. The McClellan Development Agency, which is now developing the old Fort McClellan, we're going to speak to them, and I'm sure they're going to have some stuff to say. And I can see in both places, in Anniston and Washington, D.C., there's going to be people that are going to be against us. I just don't know how far it's going to go. Have you come up with a title for this movie? Yes, it's called Toxic Service, The Soldier Story. Out of all the people from Fort McClellan that went through them as soldiers, I just happened to be the filmmaker out of the group. Honestly, this is a group effort. It took everybody that I've come in contact with, everybody that's contributed and called their congressmen and people like yourself and Dennis and Sal that have that have worked hard to get the word out. And if it wasn't for those veterans, this documentary could never be made. And I thank them for helping me, because we all did this together, and I think it's a good thing. And there you have it, folks. I mean, veterans being poisoned, and hopefully this documentary brings light
to the whole public, especially to Congress, to, hey, get these guys what they deserve, the compensation, and most of all, help them and their families. And this is Dan Bedandi for the InfoWars Nightly News.
Thank you for tuning in to the show tonight. You can find these kind of reports, all of this hard-hitting news at prisonplanet.tv. Please consider becoming a member. We are running our July special for 6 more days. You can get a subscription to prisonplanet.tv for a fraction of the price. And as always, you can share your username and password with up to 11 people at the same time. That is 11 people getting access to all of this information that'll help fight the info war. And of course, you're supporting our operation. Thank you so much. We'll see you here Monday, 7 p.m. Central.
You've experienced and heard about the benefits of Super Male Vitality. Now, the new formula has arrived. Introducing the new Super Female Vitality. I have specifically designed this formula to help the body naturally regulate itself without the use of artificial hormones. Key ingredients chosen from the highest quality sources. Secure your Super Female Vitality today from our limited stock at InfoWarsLife.com.
You are watching the InfoWars Nightly News, which airs 7 p.m. Central at InfoWarsNews.com. Members can share their passcodes with up to 11 other people, and your support is helping us defend liberty worldwide.